right. So, big issue, right, is abortions, and it's a huge thing. Like, if if you murder somebody who's pregnant and you get, double homicide, but if you just have abortion, then it's nothing. Well, for those of you that know me, y'all know a little bit about my back history, but I'm going to put it completely out there and tell y'all a very traumatic experience for me. And if you don't want to hear graphics, then you need to cut the video off right now. But I'm not saying that I'm against abortion. I'm not saying that I'm for abortion. None of that. Because I've had, miscarriages and an abortion and all kinds of things. What I'm against is how people handle things. How parents can do their children, how threatening someone can be towards you and say that they love you. But when I was 15, I got pregnant, and of course, whenever you're 15, you don't need a baby. I realized that whenever I got older, had my daughter. I realized that, I should have waited until I was married and after college and this, that, and the other. And, I don't regret having my daughter whatsoever. She's the one that saved my life, literally. But whenever I was 15, my mother, my adopted mother, she forced an abortion on me, or at least tried to. Me, I was, sheltered most of my life. Like, the first time that I actually went on a school trip was whenever I was 15. And, there was a lot of abuse growing up, a lot of things that should have never went on. But when I was 15, she tried to do a forced abortion on me, and it was very traumatic. And I don't know who all knew in my family. I don't know if my dad and my brother just kind of turned a cheek to it and knew that it had happened or what was going on at the time or whatever. But she put me in a bathtub, and she took one of the old rubber douche bottles and filled it with a concoction of whatever she wanted to fill it with. I don't even remember. And then she made me, put it up in there and push on it. And then at the same time, she made me drink a concoction of hot peppers and things like that, and was yelling, screaming at me the whole time. And when she found out that wasn't going to work, she threatened my boyfriend at the time and made him pay for an abortion. She took me to my physician that I had been seeing since I was little bitty, and he tried to talk her out of it, trying to say, well, abortion's wrong, adoption's better, things like that. But anyway, so met my boyfriend at a church. Yeah, a church one day, and he gave my mom the money to take me up to Norman. And whenever whenever we went to Norman, we went to this little clinic, this little hole in the wall clinic, and they filled out paperwork, and then we went to the doctor's office, and I was hysterically crying. Imagine that. I was upset and scared and didn't know what was going on. And there was a room beside the doctor's office, and you could hear all the noises from the surgical tools that they were using. And my my dad looked over at me and straight up told me, "Shut the fuck up." And my dad was the one that I would run to whenever mom was throwing a fit because she was angry at mom and dad, or angry at my dad and my brother, and so it hurt me. It hurt me really bad for my dad to do that on top of everything else that was going on. And anyway, the doctor told me, "Do you want to be awake during the procedure, or do you want to be asleep during the procedure?" Now, how in the world would anybody want to be awake during that kind of a procedure? After, you know, we got through with whatever the doctor had said, I don't even remember half of it. The nurse came and got me, and they took me back to the to the room, the operating room that they had, and I fell asleep. And whenever I woke up, I was in this little bitty dark room, and that was the first time that I'd been under anesthesia or anything. So I got up, didn't know where I was at or what was going on or nothing. All I knew was that I was in a gown and I was naked, and I was sick. I started vomiting all over the place, and I went into the restroom, and I guess the nurse finally heard me falling around in the room, and she took me, laid me back down, and about 5 minutes later, she came in, put my clothes back on, and they rushed me out of a side door to the clinic. And my parents put me in the back seat of their truck, and I slept all the way home. Now, the aftermath of it all was the cramping and the bleeding and the not knowing of if I was going to be okay. I didn't know if I was going to be okay. I didn't know if I was going to be okay mentally or physically, or if my boyfriend at the time was going to be okay. All I knew is that I had a baby in me that morning, and that the baby was gone, and that my mother, which, I didn't hold her to high standards, but, she loved me, my own mom, had done all that to me. And that my dad didn't even care enough to stop her. So, I went to, I went home and arrested for a couple days, and I went to Falls Creek because I had to get away. I couldn't stay home. There was no way I could stay home. I didn't want to stay home. And um, Falls Creek has it's the church camp and all that stuff. I was, a member of the church at the time, and um, my best friend at the time, he was one of the youth leaders, and he asked me, "Why can't you um, play the sports?" And I had to tell him what happened, and it was, I was in pain the whole time I was there. But I just wanted everybody to know, okay? It's your choice if you want to do it. Um, don't force anything on your kids. Don't force anything on anybody. It's, be kind, be gentle. It can really, really screw up somebody. It can really, really hurt somebody. Not only mentally but physically as well. There's studies about infections and things like that. I don't know. I've read years and years into all of that stuff, of course. Once Google hit, I was on top of reading about all of it. But anyway, I figured I'd let that out. A lot of you know about it. My friends know about it. Um, what sucks too is, telling your best friend at the time, your best girlfriend at the time, that it was happening. And then, a year or so later, her telling somebody else that it didn't happen whenever, you can, I don't know. But anyway, it feels good to let stuff like that out too. I totally encourage people talking about things that have happened to them and why and how and all of that stuff. So, I need more topics so I don't go on these rants about what happened to me. But, leave some suggestions in the comment section below the video, and I will make sure that I get them taken care of. Thanks.